sexually inappropriate.
Man, I love this song by The Clips, man. It's nice. It's nice. Featuring Kendrick Lamar. But welcome back to another video brought to you by your one and only Literary Pharaoh. The reason why I'm making this video, because just like that song says, you beat the system with chains and whips. The song has a double sorted message. The message has multifaceted dimensions to it, right? When you talk about slavery and chains and whips, you understand they use chains and whips to control people. At least that's what the narrative tells us. A lot of us weren't living in that time, but a lot of us weren't even alive during that time. But we're told through art, we're told through books and stories that a lot of black people were slaves. But if you guys would actually learn the real history, black people owned slaves too. And slaves, the most extreme form of slavery is the form that they tell you about, whipping people, chaining people up to things like that. That's the extreme form, which is very rare. A lot of people during that time were called indentured slaves, or they worked underneath a system called indentured servitude, which is what we do today. We all work to pay bills. That's indentured servitude. If you're working off to pay off a debt, if you're working to pay credit card loans or student college loans, you are an indentured servitude or indentured servant. So that's what slavery is. Slavery is we're wage slaves. Everybody goes to work for a wage. So the term slavery has many, many different facets, and the spectrum runs wide. So there are different points of slavery, some more severe and some forms a little bit more, I guess, socially accepted. We all go to work. It's a form of slavery, but it's socially accepted. As a matter of fact, we applaud people who have a job. Oh, great, you found a job. We applaud people who go into wage slavery. So that's let you know that the mindset of slavery has different perspectives, and based upon the distinct variables that go into play. So of course, if you're whipping somebody and beating them to work, that's the extreme form of slavery. Just like if you have a child and you discipline your child, you may talk to your child and discipline them or take certain privileges away. That's a form of discipline. But we also know there are also different forms of discipline that goes into incorporating corporal punishment, where you spank your child or you whip your child. Or schools used to do this back then. They would paddle kids, but they don't do that anymore. So it's all discipline. Discipline falls in its different pockets, right? You have extreme forms of discipline. You have lighter forms of discipline. You also have extreme form of slavery, and you have lighter forms of slavery. Okay, so it's all in the same bucket. They're just operating differently at different times based upon the distinct variables. So after saying that, the reason why I'm bringing that up is because I'm going back to the mindset shift that needs to happen, and how powerful the mind is. A lot of people who are quote unquote melanated, or the foundational black Americans, the people that have been here, okay, because not all black people that are in America came from Africa. That's a lie. That we've been lied to in that aspect. The Turtle Island, the people who inhabited the Americas were actually copper-colored people. Copper-colored people, the color of a penny, those would be brown-skinned people. Those would be, i.e., what you know as black people, right? So black people were here before Columbus. Black people were here before the Slavs, before the Europeans came here to infiltrate. So let's get that straight. That's already fact. That's already established. This is not up for debate anymore, okay? If you don't believe me, you can go to Dane, I think his name is Dane Calloway. He talks about this extensively on his channel. I mean, it's well known now. We can't put our heads underneath the rock or put our heads in the sand and act like the stories they've been giving us for years about how a bunch of Africans came from Africa to America. That's why we have black people here. As if this country wasn't owned by black people before the white people came to infiltrate. So they rewrote history and inverted it and reversed it, and they have us thinking backwards, and our mindsets are not aligned to reality or aligned to truth. So with that being said, the mindset is very powerful. How you think is very powerful. So in that song, when it talks about chains and whips, I like the way Clips took that song and flipped it. All right, I beat the system with chains and whips. You use a narrative of chains and whips to make me think that I come from an ancestry of slavery, because that's what they say. All black people have ancestors of slaves. That's not true. You have black people who own businesses. You had black people who own banks. You had black people who created things, but they hide these things from us. They don't reveal the real truth. Many black people back then were ignorant and got played. These Europeans are very clever. They're duplicitous in their thought process, very manipulative, very disingenuous. They come in with these treaties and these things that you have to sign using legislation to rob you legally. So that's called, they use legalese terminology. In other words, I can devise a contract, right, and get you to sign it, and you're literally signing your life away, not knowing that you're doing it. And you're thinking that this person has your best interest at heart. Most people don't read the fine print, and even if you did read the fine print, most people don't even understand the fine print. So they use court, they use law system, they use legal means to rob you. So it's sort of like the IRS. The IRS are the biggest thieves. People talk about gambling schemes. Las Vegas is illegal. Gambling should be illegal, but when you regulate it, or when you act like you've inserted regulations to make it safe, you're only making it profitable for you. It's a monopoly. So in other words, I don't want other people to do it, but we can do it. I don't want other people to do it, but we can do it because we can control it. It's all about control. So when you hear that song, I Beat the System with Chains and Whips, it's taking the mindset that the world wants you to have. They want you to possess as a black man, that you come from a line of slavery, which is not true. If everybody did don't even use ancestry.com. That's bullshit. That's all been hijacked and it's not even real. Don't even look at your ancestry. Don't even think about it. If you can't find your ancestry and know what your people went through, that's fine. Ask yourself, what am I going through today? What am I doing today with what I have, with the resources that are in front of me, with my mind? One thing that we cannot control are the things that are outside of us, right? I can't control everything outside of me. I can't control the things that I can't control, but the things that I can control, which is my thought process and the things that I do and the decisions that I make, I'm going to make sure I maximize those efforts in order to create the reality that I want. So when you hear a song from the Clipse saying I beat the system with chains and whips, it's essentially saying the system that you gave me to ponder on, which is very mentally taxing on me, is actually daunting. It's not something that I want to think about. It's low vibrational. It's not it's not something that you want to build a foundation on, knowing that, oh, I come from a foundation of slaves, and my mom, my great grandmother was a slave. Like, who wants to believe that shit? And even if it is true, why do you want to hone your reality on that? That's low vibrational. That's what they tell you. So while you're giving me bullshit stories to believe about my kind or my kind of people, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to beat the system with the same narrative that you're telling me. So that song is so powerful to me because I'm beating the system with chains and whips. Chains, necklaces, chains, and whips. Like, I'm going to flip it. I'm going to go get what I need to get. And I'm not pushing for people to be, to be materialist. That's not the point. The point that I'm making is much grander than that, okay? It's much more grander than that. I'm not telling people to go get money to buy nice cars and nice jewelry. The point that I'm making is that you can be given something that's supposed to bring you down, or given something that's debilitating, but what you can do, you can take that and you can flip it with your mindset and make it work for you. So no matter how hard they say things are for a black man, it's hard for a black man, a black man. I've never believed those narratives, because if I keep believing that it's hard for a black man, then that affects my reality. And if that affects my reality, then I'm going to put forth actions of a person that's already behind the 8 ball. I'm going to function as a victim. When you function as a victim, you're putting yourself in a perpetual state of being a victim, because you're always going to have built-in excuses. You're going to lack self-accountability and self-responsibility, because you're not going to look at yourself in the mirror and say, maybe it's the decisions that I'm making. The white man is keeping me down. No, you're keeping yourself down by that stupid-ass thought process. So when people who go around always talking about race all the time, talking about the racial injustices, they live a life in that realm because they've created that reality in their heads. They've created that belief system. That's their religion. So the more you think that, the more you're going to get that energy in return. I truly believe this. I'm living it. I have never experienced racism. I don't look for racism. Like I told you guys a story. It was one story when I started working, and there was an email that was sent between me and the principal. The principal was white, but I was young back then. I perceived it as such, but maybe it wasn't. But it wasn't racist. She didn't call me an N-word. It wasn't overt. Like, I couldn't go to HR and say, this woman is being racist. They'll look at me like, what? That's in your head. And that's what all this is. It's in our heads. Everyone's struggling. Everyone goes to work. Everyone pays taxes. Yeah, racism or being a racist, that's a very strong word. It's nowadays you go around to different schools and you hear kids always talking about bully me, they bully me, they bully me. I'm like, do you guys actually know what bullying is? Bullying is much deeper than somebody saying something to you that you don't like. Somebody being a racist, it's much more than people racial profiling. We all racial profile. You know what racial profiling means? It means that there's a race of people that are known for doing something. That's racial profiling. That's not being racist. Racist denotes hate. It implies that you hate somebody based upon their race. That's what racist is. Racial profiling is not that. Racial prejudice is not that either. Because racial prejudice means that I'd rather be with my own kind of people. I choose my own kind of people versus yours. But I don't hate your kind. It's no different than me walking into a grocery store and getting an apple versus an orange. I don't hate an orange. I just prefer an apple. That's prejudice. Hate is, oh, I love apples, but I'm going to destroy this orange just for the hell of it because I hate it. I hate it so much now I have to have actions to match my emotion. The emotion of hate actions has to be produced from that emotion of hate. You can't have an emotion without producing an action to match the emotion. It's inevitable. Now, you may not do it immediately, but eventually you're going to end up doing it. So that's what racist is. There's a difference. So when people walk around saying there's race, race, I go to work every day. I see many black people in great positions, making good money. You know why they're doing that? Because they don't have a mindset of the white man's keeping me down. They don't have a mindset of, oh, I gotta operate like this. You know, the white folk, they're watching us. That's called a slave mentality. And if you operate as such, you're always going to be looked at as a slave. Not because of what others are doing, but because of what you're doing. You bring forth the type of life you want by how you think. That's why belief is very important. If you shape your reality by your own thoughts and you stay positive and you stay determined and you're not willing to use excuses for anything, be it if you have a workout goal, be it you have a goal to get over a certain vice that you're hooked onto, whether you're addicted to sugar or addicted to alcohol or whatever it is, you could do it. I know people give the scientific reasons as to why people can't get off of certain things because there's a certain biochemistry that's involved and it tricks your brain to want certain things, but it's mind over matter. You can deprive yourself of something. How about you don't put yourself in those situations where you can access it? If I know that eating a bunch of salty foods is my weakness, why would I have a bunch of salty foods in my pantry? How about you just don't go to the grocery store? If I locked you in a jail cell and you lacked food for weeks and all you can eat is what I gave you, you would just eat what I gave you. You wouldn't die. But it's mind over matter. We don't like to be in uncomfortable situations. We like routine. We like the mundane. We like to go through things with a certain degree of monotony, right? We like to just continue to do it because that's what we're used to doing. And anytime you upset the apple cart, so to speak, or you shift something and there's a paradigm shift that's involved, people get hysterical. They get, oh my God, what's going on? Calm the fuck down. You'll be okay. You don't have to have the ice cream. You don't have to have the salty foods. You don't have to have the same mindset of the white man's keeping me down. You don't have to have the same lens of looking at everything through a racial lens. I look at everything through a God lens, and not the God you serve. I'm the God. I'm going to create my own reality. So when I step out of my car and go to work, I'm carrying myself like a king. I don't care what you think of me. Because I don't know what you think of me, so I'm not probing. I'm going to respect you. I'm going to be professional. I'm going to expect that in return. And even if I don't get that in return, I don't go home thinking this person was racist. You have some people like Jason Whitlock, who's really racist, not against white people, against his own kind. And I've talked about that on my channel before. He's an inverted racist. He attacks black people at any chance that he gets. All right. So you have some people who are black who hate being black. They capitulate to the white man's ideals, or what they perceive to be the white man's ideals, and they're thinking. And white people, the European, is looking at like, we don't even think like that. So There's something truly wrong with the way we reason, and we have to change it. We have to do better. All right. So beat the system with chains and whips. Whatever system that they've given you that's diabolical, that doesn't work to your benefit, flip it. You don't have to take what they give you. You know that, right? You don't have to eat the shit they feed you. You can say no to it. All right, and consume something else that'll be better for your psyche. All right, take care. Leave a comment. Tell me what you guys think. Until next time, peace.